guys. Welcome to our parenting podcast, Teenager Tuesday. This is Tisha Solomon. I am the student pastor at the Frisco East Campus. If you are watching on YouTube, I just wanted to let you know that we are not recording this episode as far as video live. So you'll just see a blank screen. Nothing's wrong with your YouTube. We just weren't able to record live this week. So you will have the audio, but not the visual. I know that you're really sad about that.
Yeah, let's be honest, Tisha. You guys saw my profile pic. You were like, we're moving to audio only. No. This is JD Tomlin, by the way.
Yes.
I'm the guest speaker today.
Yes, this is JD Tomlin with me. He is a parent that attends Hope Fellowship and has had a lot of experience with his students dating, with his kids dating. JD, I'd love for you to just tell us a little bit about yourself. Give us a little intro about you and your family.
Absolutely. Thanks for letting me be here today, Tisha.
Yes.
And for everyone listening, first of all, just want to say that this is completely from our perspective, Heather's and my parenting perspective. Very different from many of you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I even put on Facebook this morning a few questions about this topic. And if you are and our friends on Facebook, you'll be intrigued. Or if not, just find me at JD Tomlin. You'll see a lot of different answers and a lot of opinions about dating as it relates to teenagers. But yeah, I grew up in a small little town in Texas, so much so that you ever seen the show Hee Haw? Yeah, we were probably on Hee Haw.
Okay.
And
love it.
And so I had two older sisters and my parents, and we had a very close-knit family.
Yeah.
Now, Heather and I have been married 28 years.
Awesome.
And we have 4 young adult children.
Wow.
So our youngest is 20, still in college, 22, just graduated from college, 24 and 26-year-olds. And our 24 and 26-year-old daughters are married, one recently and one 4 years ago. So
awesome. Our
perspective of parenting teens is not too far down the road.
No, and you've had a lot of experience with them dating too. It sounds like with 2 of them married and 2 of them the other 2 in their 20s, all 4 in their 20s really, but 2 of them are married and 2 of them are not. I'm sure you've navigated them dating and dating in their teenage years, and probably a lot of figuring it out a little bit, I'm sure.
Absolutely. So I just have plenty of shotguns in my office, Tisha.
Yes, with 3 daughters.
It's real simple. But no, the reality of that is we have a really close family.
Yeah.
Again, it's I can't compare with anyone else out there.
Absolutely.
But only to say that Heather and I have made an honest and concerted effort to be on the same page. How we parent.
Yeah.
Our marriage, which I'm thankful for, has endured challenging times, just like anyone listening here may have gone through.
Yeah.
And now we have the perspective of our kids being young adults from looking back. And I've even had conversations with every one of them, including my sons-in-law, about this topic. And we'll unpack that a little bit in this series.
I'm so excited about it. Well, I'd love to know, JD, when and how did you start talking to your kids about dating? Did they turn 13 and that's when you started doing it? Or did you and Heather, I'd love to know just a little bit of your perspective of when you started, how you started talking to them about dating and just relationships in general. They can be so confusing and, students just trying to figure out their own life and then bringing someone else into the mix. It can be really tough. So I'd love to know, and I'm sure many people listening would also love to know when and how you started talking to them about dating and relationships.
Well, unlike the family in the home I grew up in, it really wasn't discussed.
Yeah.
If I look back and say, did I have honest conversations with my parents about girls and having a girlfriend and what all that looked like? Really didn't. I just had a lot of friends, and out of that, we would go on dates.
Yeah.
But dating, and if I were to define dating, by the way, many of you will probably define dating in very different ways.
Yeah.
You'll even see a lot of definitions on my Facebook post today on what people think. And some say, well, let your kids define dating. And others are like, oh, no, this is exactly what it means. And to me, dating and going on a date are 2 very different things.
Yeah.
So, we started talking to our kids about just relationships, the opposite sex, and what those feelings that they'll start having probably in their early adolescence. So those were discussed when the kids were, first or second grade, probably maybe even younger. And even before we started discussing it, I want to be really clear that Heather and I modeled it.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
And as we modeled what I think was healthy conversation, healthy affection, healthy attention,
Yeah.
valuing one another, listening to one another. Those things were modeled from the time our children were born.
Yeah.
And so that to me is something that is crucial for a kid's development and understanding how to navigate this topic.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we started talking to the kids about it when they were really young, about when they do have feelings, what does infatuation mean? What does
Yeah.
that look like? They're going to feel those things. They're going to be asked on dates. And so our kids had healthy conversations from early on. Their experiences varied depending on either their maturity, their pace in life, their busyness. Bethany, our youngest, as we talked on the phone about this conversation, she was just reminding me, Dad, I never had any time. I danced. Either I was in school or dance. And now she's on a pom squad in college, and that's kind of her life.
Yeah.
So really dating for her has been very minimal because she literally had no time. Now, when she's in college, she goes on dates. She goes to events and functions and asks guys out, or they ask her out. But in terms of having a boyfriend, she has not had one.
Yeah.
And that's not because we haven't told her not to or suggested that she avoid that.
Right.
Simply just for her time. But for every one of our kids, different paces in different places.
Yeah.
And I would say out of our 4, only one had a significant relationship that I would call dating with one person, and that was our son, who his senior year dated a great girl, and the other girls have just either their busyness or their joy of just being in groups of friends chose not to have an exclusive relationship with someone that was trying to define, is this a person that I could ultimately see myself marrying. Now, that being said, that's not our standard that the Tomlin family puts up. Is this a person you would marry if you're going to go out with them? Not necessarily. Now, as you start spending more time with them, that's a different topic.
Yeah.
But initially, it's simply just helping them navigate how to have a healthy relationship with the opposite sex, to enjoy being with them, but not to be so exclusive that you lose other friends along the way.
It sounds like you really highlighted relationships, like in general, not just dating relationships or relationships with the opposite sex. It sounds like you really just were saying, hey, these are ways to have relationships with people in general. And that's why they were going out with friends. That's why they were maybe doing things in group settings, because you modeled the importance of like, hey, you've got to have people in your life and getting to know them, getting to hang out with them, figuring that whole thing out, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you asked about having the conversations with our kids.
Yeah.
I'd say one thing that has always been a very high value in our family is communication.
Yeah.
We've been very intentional around dinner table or around activities or on trips or just in the early mornings or late at night. Just there's an open conversation between our children and Heather and I that we've always appreciated and valued. I know a lot of families don't have that. And but I would say even wherever you are in that level with your teenager or your child, find commonalities and ways that you can get in the door about conversation with them, and then just listen and be a source of wisdom and an encouragement for them without judgment, and just be available. Be available.
Yeah, that's really good. I know that one of the things we say at Hope students a lot is don't just have like one talk with your kids about things that are important, but open a conversation and just continue to have dialogue with them. If we keep the door open to having serious conversations and more important conversations with our kids, they're more likely to come with us. And I love what you just said too about, finding them where they are, being where they are, talking to them about, finding commonality with them, something you can do together that will maybe help them feel more comfortable and will allow you to ask some questions that might be a little bit harder, but you've developed trust with them.
That's huge. We really have. And I've asked our kids, was there ever a time in your life that you were fearful to ask us anything or talk about anything? And if they're being honest, every one of them said, never. Never did I fear.
That's awesome.
Never did I feel like I couldn't talk to you about anything. And so we had this incredible opportunity to just speak into our kids' lives, and they gave us that freedom to do so.
I love that. Yeah. That's awesome, JD. Well, I know that, so many parents are trying to navigate, their teenagers dating. And we're just hoping the next few podcasts that we can help them and help our students navigate this whole world of dating that we're in. So, JD, I'm excited about our next session together. We're going to be talking about expectations and standards of dating. Parents, if you've tuned in, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next week for Teenager Tuesday. Just wanted to remind you that you can do this. You're not alone. God is with you, and so are we. See you next week.